Hello, family. Welcome to Alan Hattie Hollingsworth Boston Movement Phase 1 curriculum. My name is Coach Marcus. I'm a 3% out leader, and God has called me to a purpose. Today, you'll be hearing about Boston Movement's teaching on the three types of people: 87 percenters, 10 percenters, and 3 percenters, what we refer to as influence behavior. Take it away, Coach Alice.
Hello, this is Alice Hill of Boston Movement coming to you today. I'm going to share very briefly a principle of the three types of people that we share and teach to our young people in the classes. The three types of people are these. They are the 3%ers, which are the leaders, and this is what we want to do with the youth. We want to train them to become leaders. The next percentage are 10%ers. They are the destroyers. They are the ones that come against the vision. The other percentage, which is the largest percentage of people, are 87 percenters, or the unconscious, lukewarm people. Now, let me give you a description of the three. And this is what you can do. You can go to the Boston Movement training that we have provided for you. And in this example is on page 7, where the definitions are for the 3%ers and the 10%ers. Okay? So I will read the definition for those. 3%ers. What are 3%ers? They are people who are confident, goal-oriented. They make their own decisions. They desire overall good for all concerned. They are givers. Those are the 3%ers. One of the first words we describe, they're confident. They have their birthrights intact, which are confidence, courage, hope, belief, faith, and trust in God, who is the source of our hope. Now let's find out what a 10%er is. How is a 10%er described? Angry, prideful, selfish. They are false leaders. They demand to have their way at the expense of others. False leaders. What are false leaders? Is that someone that quickly volunteers to lead a group but has absolutely no idea, no plan, no clue of how to bring that group through to success? They are mostly interested in having the title. Once I get the title and I'm called to be up front, then I will operate in the other types of energy forces. I will operate angry. I will operate in pride. I will operate as a selfish person. I will demand my way. This is how they lead. The other, which again is the largest percentage, are the 87 percenters. They are people who are lukewarm. They are followers. Followers mean whichever energy force comes at them that's the most powerful, whether it's the leader or whether it's the person who is cold and the destroyer, whichever one dominates my environment, that's the one that I will go for, because I'm just here to follow. I'm not here to think of solutions. I just want to be left alone. I want to live a life of ease. I'm here to follow the masses. Now, we train our youth in BOSS. In fact, BOSS, it stands for Building on Spiritual Substance, but it's also an acronym to show that we want to train our young people not to grow up and follow all their lives, not to grow up and become destroyers, but to grow up, and as they grow up, and practice the principle of leadership, practicing the principle of having a plan, making a plan, staying committed to that plan, not losing focus, and not moving too slow. And in doing that, they will be empowered through their birthrights of confidence and courage, hope, belief, faith, and trust in leading a group of people to their success. In our classroom situation, we have a process called self-expression. What does that mean? That means that the youth get the opportunity for 1 minute to express themselves in front of the classroom. We ask for volunteers, and if volunteers don't come forth, we volunteer them to come forth. And what we do, we ask them to stand forth for 1 minute, give the class eye contact. Now, the very first time that we show this, we don't ask the youth to actually say anything because we don't want them to have a first experience of failure. So the youth will just stand in front of the class for 1 minute, and the trainer, you can ask the youth, what would you like to be when you grow up? And the youth may know and they may not, but just ask them to express themselves. What could you be when you grow up? So they will give you an answer. And then you will say to that youth, for 1 minute, I want you to see yourself 10, 15, 20 years from now being the very thing that you just expressed. See yourself, see it, see the environment, see people supporting you in doing that. So they began to visualize, and for 1 minute, as they visualize themselves successfully obtaining that goal, you will ask their classmates to look at them for 1 minute to make sure they give their undivided attention for 60 seconds to the person standing up front. And so for that 60 seconds, the youth will see themselves, what they will be in the future, and they will get positive reinforcement for that 1 minute. After the 1 minute is over with, we applaud the person for standing up. And once they sit down, they would have experienced a very powerful, but not only powerful, but positive experience in terms of standing before others. The future times, what will happen in the self-expression, we will now move to the second step and ask the youth to express themselves for 1 minute. Tell the class what they learned for that night or in previous classes. So for 1 minute, the youth will give the class eye contact. They will express themselves. They will walk around the class. And once that minute is over with, they will come back and the students will critique the youth. Critiquing means that they will communicate whether or not the presentation was one of a leader, was one of a destroyer, or was one of a follower. And they will give them a percentage. The leader will represent a 3%, the destroyer will represent a 10%, and the follower will represent an 87%. The key in the critique is this. The students will say the person's name. They won't say you or she said this. They will call the person by their name, make it personal, and they will start off giving a positive aspect of their presentation, and then they will say, this is what I would like to have seen, and they will communicate. Examples, Susie, you were great at getting up there. You were great at walking around the classroom. But Susie, this is what I would like to have seen. I would like for you to have given us more eye contact. Susie, I would like to have seen you walk around a little more quicker. You were very slow in your walking. So I give your presentation an 87%. It was lukewarm. Now, the key here is that we gave the presentation, not the person, but the presentation, the 87%. Because Susie could come right back in 5 minutes from now and give a 3% presentation. Or Susie could come right back and give a 10%, a destroyer's presentation. So we are critiquing the presentation so that the person will not personally embrace that they are destroyers. They will not personally embrace that they are followers. They shouldn't personally embrace that. They should hear that the presentation was that, and they should listen up to hear ways of improving. Once they practice this over a period of 20 weeks, it's amazing the change that will take place in that youth, coming from a shy, introverted person to a confident youth, speaking in boldness. So these are the principles and the elements of leadership or of the types of people. 3%ers are leaders, 10%ers are lukewarm destroyers, 87%ers, I apologize, 10%ers are destroyers. They're cold. And last of all, 87%ers are lukewarm and followers. We want to train our youth how to become 3%ers so that they will walk as heads and not the tails. Thank you so very much for being with us today and sharing about the three types of people. God bless you. Bye-bye.